this footnote is about my 5-year-old decluttering and my own experience struggling with letting go.
Moms and decluttering.
I know. It's quite ironic because, of course, I talk a lot about decluttering and I've been thinking about decluttering for years, but I don't really involve my daughter in that. She just turned 6, but this was the event that I'm talking about was last year. Okay. And I try to just teach her to be a little bit more intentional with her stuff. But one day I'm sitting in my room, I don't know, I'm reading or something, and she drags in this giant bag of stuff and just goes, "Mommy, I don't want this anymore." And I feel like, if I was like a true minimalist, I should have been like, "Oh, bravo, so great." But instead, my default was like, "What do you mean you don't need it? Like, there's good stuff in this bag. Like, I just bought that for you last year and it was like X amount of dollars, It was quite a funny personal challenge just dealing with this because I was like ready to take everything out and be like, "Go put this away."
Oh, gosh. Yeah. Yep. I can so relate to that.
Yeah. And it's like, it's not just like decluttering, it's also like letting them have their own agency and all this kind of thing. But what was really interesting when I was speaking with her, because I was kind of like, well, where did this come from, right? Because it did come out of nowhere. And she was 5 and she had just started prep. And so what I became to realize was that the reason she decluttered these items is because she had really had in her head, like, I am this new, bigger girl. Like, I'm not a baby. And all of that is associated with being a baby. Mm-hmm. And, as I said, it was hard for me, but it was also kind of beautiful because it just reminds me that decluttering can be empowering. Like, we always, sometimes I think it's the wording, right? It's like letting go. But letting go can sometimes feel like crap. Like, I don't want to let go of all my stuff. Mm-hmm. But in this situation, it was like, this is reaffirming. She's like, this is who I am now. And this is who I want to be. And I'm letting go of the things that don't serve me. I was like, damn, girl, I think you're doing this so well. And, I just think about that again, like, one of the things I struggled to declutter was I struggled a lot with not being successful, right? So certain, like, I always tell the story, I had this black blazer that I never wear blazers. I'm just not a blazer person. Like, it's not me. But I bought this blazer. It was super expensive. I got it on sale from Q. It was, like, marked down. I was feeling all hoity about myself. But I never wore it, and it was so hard for me to declutter because in my head I was like, that's a successful person. So, like, every successful woman has a blazer, right? So if I get rid of my blazer, guess I'm not successful. Mm-hmm. But it was interesting tying this into this experience with my daughter, and she's defining for herself, like, this is what I think a girl my age should own, or this is, it's completely self-motivated and empowering. And when I finally decluttered that blazer, one of the stories that I told myself to make it feel more empowering was, a successful woman wears what she wants. Yes. As opposed to, like, a successful woman has to wear this blazer from Q.
Yeah. And I think we accept when you outgrow a thing like clothing physically, of course it's fine to get rid of it. Why would you hold on to something you don't fit anymore? But it's harder when we outgrow those things emotionally rather than physically. And it's the same thing if you hold on to something you've outgrown. You're just holding on to something you're never going to use or need.
Yeah.
And somewhat holding on to that old identity.
Yeah.
Yes. I think it's kind of holding you back, right? So she was so excited about starting prep, like just really wanting to, like, close that door on that chapter. Not to say that that old chapter was bad. I think about it a lot, actually, in terms of, like, when I got divorced, and that, like, I didn't have a horrible marriage. It just wasn't right for me. Yeah. And, there's sometimes you can go down that line where it's like, oh, I wasted 8-10 years of my life. But I don't think that way. I just sort of think, like, I lived that, and now that chapter is ended, and now I'm moving forward. Yeah. And I think we can kind of, like, embrace that same kind of thought with our stuff. It's just like, that no longer serves me, and I'm ready for something else.
Yeah, absolutely. And when it comes to our children and their transitions through the various stages of their life, that really can complicate the decluttering thing. Because as you were saying, what you were saying before, I was picturing the box under our stairs that has a bunch of stuff that my daughter decided she didn't want anymore. And I was like, what do you mean? I just bought that last Christmas. This other thing is really expensive. And I got so caught up in like what it meant and like, but it's really about her.
Yes. And sometimes that struggle is because us as mums, we're struggling to let go of them being babies anymore. And like, I still
1000%.
want to think that you play with those toys.
Yeah.
I love those toys, right?
Yeah.
And she's like, no, I don't want those anymore. I want this
Yeah.
other gadget. Painful.
Yeah. Anything Minecraft related.
Oh,
That's
don't
it.
even. My daughter's the same.
Oh, geez.
And I guess it's a little like, you know, when you get given a lot of gifts and you don't want the gift giver to see you getting rid of it. When you live with your parents, and you're a child, your parents gifted you everything. So every time you get rid of
Yes.
something, the gift giver's going, but I got that for you. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
oops.
Yeah, but it's also one thing that I have to tell myself all the time with my daughter is that I'm glad that she takes after her dad in her ability to go, yeah, don't need this anymore. It can go somewhere else now without really having to think about it much. I have a very different relationship to stuff. I have to put a lot more thought into it. And she is exercising that muscle that is letting her define her own identity and is letting her define what has meaning for her. And that is okay.
100%. The word that just keeps coming to mind is acceptance.
Yeah.
Like, we accept the people we love for who they are. We accept ourselves for who we are. And then it's easier to let go.
Yes.
I think it's very mature as well to be able to let go of that thing while it's still useful to others.
Yeah. Before it gets all dirty and old and
Outdated.
and has no more value. Yeah. While someone else can still get use out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is great.
I really regret letting some stuff rot and become useless in my possession when it could have been used well by others. So,
Same.
Yeah.
especially clothes. They go out of fashion so fast.
Well, I know nothing about fashion. So I'm just like, whatever, I'll wear this velour tracksuit. Is it purple? Cool. Sign me up.
If you hoard some things long enough, they come back around in fashion.
Exactly. Yeah. And if they never come back in fashion, then you're just avant-garde. Boom. All right. Well, thank you for sharing that story with us,
No
Jennifer.
worries.
And now I've got like Cat's Cradle playing in my head. I'm like, oh, my little girl's growing up.
Are you going home to get rid of that box?
Most of it. Most of it. Yeah. And it will be okay.